at BDPA, the speaker behind the topic. We're going to welcome today Chuck Marable to our actual speaker behind the topic this week. Chuck is going to be at MST on June the 19th to talk about Windows Phone development. So Chuck, tell me, how did you get involved in IT?
I started out as a software developer. Really was trained for it. I went to Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia. Have a bachelor's in science and computer science. Came directly out and immediately started working for a large pharmaceutical company doing their Salesforce automation product. Since then, that was in 1990. Since then, I've done a lot of Salesforce automation stuff. Did some Siebel configuration. Have done a tremendous amount of Microsoft work, mostly in C++. Later on, did some PDA work, the original Windows CE edition, which was a mobile development environment. Done a lot of web work, and most recently some Windows Phone development work. So about the past 2.5, 3 years, I've been doing Windows Phone development.
Wow, so all these mobile devices, from the web applications to all the mobile devices, and that's where everything is headed these days. Everyone wants to build and create applications on all the different mobile devices out there.
Yep.
So tell us, how do you normally keep abreast on what's going on with the latest and greatest in mobile development?
That's a good question. Actually, that's a question that I typically interview people with.
This is
I read. I do some reading occasionally. We do read the manual. There's a great, for Windows development, there's a great website called Channel 9. The MSTM magazine is actually pretty good. I go to a lot of interesting little weekend workshops. For instance, there was one most recently called Startup Weekend, which was a great opportunity to meet not only developers, but to meet people with interesting ideas and designers, and kind of puts us all in a room and molds us together, and hopefully at the end of the weekend you come out with a good product. I believe there are about 15 teams that did this recent Windows Startup Weekend, and there were about 6 or 7 real winners. So beyond that, I do some other stuff. I do a lot of volunteer work. So there was recently something called SQL Weekend. So a lot of volunteer stuff, and a lot of just kind of mixing and rubbing elbows with different people. I do it for free whenever I can. Occasionally I do have to spend a little bit of money on my development. So I'll go to things like Build. Microsoft has a Build conference, and wherever else I can find local workshops. There's a great one for Atlanta developers. There's a great workshop up in Knoxville once a year called Code Stock. That's a really good one.
Okay.
Also in Atlanta, the Microsoft office will occasionally have a code camp. So code camps are great, and they're almost always free. It's a great opportunity to do or to see multiple presentations like the one I'll be giving on the 19th.
Okay, so you talk about the developers and the different things they can go and go to this meetup group and these startup groups, and you talk about how you like to give back to the community. Are there any particular groups you are involved with?
There's a couple of good ones that I like to go to for Windows developers. The first is held by Microsoft. They hold it every, I want to say, first Monday, and it's at the Microsoft office in Alpharetta. We actually hold a group called A Bunch of Devs down in the North Cross area. We do that once a month. It's on third Wednesdays every month, and that covers a variety of topics. This month we're doing some stuff on SQL Server, and a future month we'll do some stuff on Windows controls and tools that you can purchase. And we almost always have really cool giveaways. So I think one month we gave away 24 books. Another month we gave away a full developer edition of one of the Red Gate tools. So yeah, we try and give away, we make it interesting and make it fun for people to come.
Wow. And the organization is called?
It's called A Bunch of Devs. It's abunchofdevs.com, and we're on Meetup. There's a Meetup group for it also.
And as you stated, that's the third Wednesday of every month. That's the same time.
Which conflicts with yours, yes.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay, because you're actually coming to present at our meeting. And,
yes.
And of course, your members are invited to come out and attend for free.
I've invited them, and hopefully they'll come.
Yes, yeah, so that'll be a great thing to have them actually there. And maybe they can help and assist some of the audience members on some questions that they may have during the presentation itself. So do you want to give us a little short synopsis about the class itself without giving away the information, because you must attend and come out on June 19th at Macy Systems and Technology on State Bridge Road in Johns Creek. So you want it's at 6 o'clock, so we'll start networking during that time. So you want to rub the elbows and everything.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good. Sure, we're going to give a brief overview of what's in the Windows Phone. So I'll have a couple of units that we'll be able to play around with, give you an idea of what's in the box. Also talk about what the Windows Phone interface means, what every single Windows Phone has to have hardware-wise, what has to be inside the hardware. That's one of the things that Microsoft's been very adamant about, is what the hardware needs to support. I'm going to talk about the development environment some. So we'll talk about how hard it is or easy it is to install, what it costs to set up a development environment. It's free, so don't worry about that. The development environment is free. What the development environment looks like, how are you going to do your basic development, what does it take to get stuff into the Windows Marketplace, which is the same, the equivalent of the iPhone App Store. We'll talk a little bit about data and data storage, how you can get things saved on your machine. We'll also talk a bit about enterprise level development, because Microsoft now offers an enterprise store that you can create for your enterprise. We'll do a few things of it. We'll look at some code. It won't be real heavy code base, because we won't have enough time to get into deep code. We'll talk about things like how to use the internet and how to use your networking. Other neat things that are available specifically to the phone that you won't see in some other devices.
Okay, so, and with you giving this presentation, but you also, like you stated, love to give back and teach others how to develop and how to code. And you know, I've been trying to get you to assist in our technical workshop we're going to have in the fall in September. So tell me, where does that passion come from? How did you actually get involved in IT?
I think it started when I was in school, in college, which is kind of late for most of your geeks, right? They mostly start when they're like 12 or 13. I had a late start as a geek. As it turns out, I started as an electrical engineering major in college.
A what major?
An electrical engineering major.
Okay.
And I stunk at electrical engineering. But what I found out was that I was a very hands-on kind of person, and if I could sit down in front of a computer and kind of write stuff and see what it did, and then kind of touch it and feel it in that way, it was very exciting for me. So writing code was fun for me and a bunch of other people that I hung out with in college. So after that, I did a lot more of that. Being in the field, there's so many different ways to kind of branch out as a software developer or as an IT person. So there's software development, there's BA work, business analyst work, there's management. I've done a bunch of those different things, but I always have kind of fallen back into the software development piece, because I really enjoy it. It changes very, very frequently. So as a software developer, you're going to have to learn a new language just about every 2 or 3 years. So if you don't like learning, software development is not the area you want to be in. But I do like it. I enjoy it. The other thing that I find that's interesting is I'm surrounded by like-minded learning types of people. And that's very enjoyable. So if you like to be around people that are always excited and always, even though we may not be young, we're always young-minded. We like new ideas. This is the environment you're going to be in.
Well, I am young-minded and also young. I just want to say that to our viewing audience out there. But you talk about the young-minded, but I want to talk about the young minds. I want to take it down to another personal level. I know you have kids, correct? So what are their ages?
I have twin boys that are 14 and a daughter that's 12.
Okay, so are they involved in technology? And if they are, is that because you're pushing them into it, or do they just have a natural instinct to want to learn about technology?
I think all younger children nowadays, all kids nowadays almost have to be into computers. Some gravitate more heavily toward it, depending on whether they like gaming or if they like actually programming computers or, artistic sides of computers. My boys, I'm glad you did talk about this, are involved in a program called HSCC, sponsored by BDPA. It's an awesome, awesome program, and I'll tell you how awesome it is.
Please do.
I have a son that begged me to teach him how to work on websites. So we took 1 or 2 afternoons and 1 or 2 consecutive weekends, and so we started talking about, oh, well, this is what HTML is, and this is how you would start writing your website, and this is how you kind of align things in HTML and CSS. And I lost him after about hour 1 on the first weekend, and he was just done with me. The HSCC program he's attended now for, I think, going on 6 or 7 months, every Saturday for 3 hours. And he's at the point where he now knows HTML, and he knows CSS, and he knows PHP, and he knows SQL, and I can have a in-depth conversation with them on those subjects, and they're asking me questions about, oh, well, how do you do joins in SQL, or how do you get this stuff to come out in PHP? And that never would have happened. I really do have to say, it never would have happened if it were just me and them, in a room or in my office at home talking about these things. So it's a great program. I'd encourage anyone that's out there that has a child that is interested in these things, and even if they're not really interested in the programming aspect, to get exposure to it, because it's a very expensive program, and it's a terrific opportunity for them to learn about the technology, meet with others that are their age, in their age group, and see that it's not just a geek thing, that it can be fun. And there's a competition at the end.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. There's a competition at the end where they get to compete at a national level for prizes, and some of them are pretty nice prizes.
Scholarships.
Yep.
And actually AP, they will also tend to give them the latest and greatest laptop they have out.
Yeah.
And you speak of that because Atlanta is the reigning champion of that title, and so we're coming back to DC this year.
Yep.
And keep our title, and hopefully your 2 sons will be able to be
good.
on that team.
It sounds good.
Win some scholarship money.
Yeah, it's a great program.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now you talked about your sons. What about your daughter?
My daughter has lots of other interests. Okay, so did I say she's 11, 12, 11? Yes.
Yes.
She plays the flute and plays the piano and wants to learn the violin and reads all the time and is in Girl Scouts, and we just never stop moving with her, with any of them.
Exactly.
But she will be there eventually. I think the program has yet to be in high school,
Yes.
so she's got a few years yet.
Yes. And so we look forward to meeting her.
Yep.
And everything, and so I'm sure she'll continue on with the legacy
Yes.
through HSC, having your family members going.
Yeah, I have a family full of geeks.
Okay, wonderful. We love geeks.
Mhm.
Geeks are great. They're
Yep.
great and fantastic.
Yep.
So I am looking forward to you coming out on June 19th
Me as well.
at Macy Systems and Technology to do the presentation on the Windows Phone. And also, I'm also looking forward to partnerships with bunch of devs.
Yep.
And then
We can
make
be a
sure
bunch of
I get
geeks,
that correct. A bunch of devs who are really geeky. How
Yes,
about
there
that?
you go.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's it.
And then of course, anything else that you want to share with us before we actually end the interview? Anything you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, just please come. I think it'll be a really good time. I promise not to go too low and geeky and for you, unless you ask for it, then you're in for it. But I think we'll have a great time.
Okay, wonderful.
Great.
Thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
So I look forward to seeing everyone on June 19th at Macy Systems Technology. You can go to our website at www.atlantabdpa.org and sign up for the event. Macy Systems and Technology employees, you are free to attend. Non-members, it will actually be a $20 cost, but it goes to help with the assistance of the various programs that we do to the community and for the community, one of them being the HSCC program, as Chuck mentioned. So look forward to seeing you on June 19th.